Who do you think you are? I am.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, coming to you live from Studio K, presented by the fine folks over at Circle K. I am your host, Damon Fairall, a.k.a. Damon Dog. That's my guy, Kevin Thomas, a.k.a. Kevo Post. We are the AZ Wildcats podcast, and we are live from PHNX HQ3 in lovely, beautiful downtown Phoenix. The weather's been fantastic outside, Kevin. I got a smile on my face. I'm happy to be here. And I'm happy to be talking Arizona Wildcats athletics with you, my friend. We got Kansas on Saturday, another massive game, a top 15 matchup between Kansas and Arizona. Can't wait for that. We're going to be discussing that on this channel pretty much from now until that game. Kevin, I'm pretty sure we're just leading it, the charge in content here at PHNX Sports. Oh, you want some Arizona basketball talk? Well, cool. We got a podcast today. We got a podcast later. Of course, we got a podcast tomorrow. And then we got two podcasts, a pregame and a postgame show on Saturday for you. So no shortage of Arizona Wildcats content on PHNX Sports channel. Yeah, we're excited to be here for the ride. How we doing, Kevin?
Doing good. I feel like we should mention this at least off the top of the show for a second. Yesterday, it was brought to our attention in general that YouTube was having some issues with just eating chat messages, eating super chats. Like, you might send it, but we didn't see it. So if you did send a super chat and we didn't get to it, let us know, and we will talk about whatever you had to say, yesterday. Or if your chats weren't getting responded to during our tier ranking, that is why. Blame the YouTube machine, not the dog and Kevo Post. But yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. It was indeed an early morning today. Well, at least for me.
Do blame me for this.
As W says, Kevin, you killed it on Spears this morning. Thank you. Damon Dog got to set more alarms, homeboy. What do you have to say for yourself?
Kevin, I think, there is actual forensic proof of this. I texted you at 9:30, which is, of course, my alarm for when I need to leave the house. And that is when I got up because the other alarms weren't agreeing with me. I don't know what I did wrong last night, but yeah, not my best moment. And I'm making it up to Justin tomorrow on Fairall Friday. Is what I believe he coined it. But
am I also coming on that show tomorrow?
No, I don't think you need to.
Okay.
I'm sure he would
yes.
love to have you if you want to.
I'll figure that out.
But
we'll see how long my night is.
I'm sure Kevin did kill it. I'll have to go back and watch it and hear the mustard that was put on my jacket on that show, which is very much deserved. I will say
I could have went harder, but I didn't. I just played it off the top. Spears was
you gotta go.
Spears was like, "Where's Damon Dog?" And I was like, "You know how dogs are. You know how the dog be. Sometimes you wake up, you're like, let's go outside,' and the dog's like, nah, I'm sleeping, bro. I'm not doing that." And I'm like, all right, that's just how it is today.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Max,
shout out to Spears.
It's funny you mentioned that. There wasn't a single chat message for like an hour. There was a portion of yesterday's show where I was like, kind of like scratching my head. I didn't even verbalize this to Kevin, where I was kind of scratching my head and I was like, damn. #no motion today, huh?
In our company Slack, Leah was saying, like, just so you guys know, there's a chat error. We're not getting chat messages. But this was after our show ended, and I just responded and was like, damn, I just thought me and Damon weren't funny. Like,
I thought people hated us.
I thought yesterday. Our jokes were landing flat. I thought our Big 12 tier ranking, nobody gave a damn. But I got
off air and I was like, Kevin, rough show, no chat messages. People weren't in on it.
People don't think we're funny anymore, Damon. But yeah, no, it was a great time on Spears' show this morning. Tune in for Fairall Friday in ESPN Tucson tomorrow. But yeah, Damon, we do have a packed show, albeit, maybe a little bit more tangential topic-wise. We're talking Tommy Lloyd Coach of the Year today. We're talking a whole bunch of college basketball in general. And it's going to be a fun show, Damon Dog. It's going to be a real fun show.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it here. A little bit of a reminder into the past, Kevin. Arizona had zero preseason Big 12 first-team players, of which there were somehow 27. I don't know how they came up with that number, but there was quite a few that they put together. So we're going to get into that. That's going to be the middle portion of this show. But before we get started there, I think we have maybe some around the Big 12 to get to, Kevin, in the way of our favorite team to talk about on here outside of the Arizona Wildcats, the K-State Wildcats.
Jerome Tang has been fired, but that does not mean that it's been better for the K-State Wildcats. They just keep losing. They lose to Colorado last night, I believe it was. And man, Damon, I feel for PJ Haggerty. I really do. I know he chose to go there, knowing what he was getting himself into in some ways, surely. The bag must be fire. You know what I mean? But look, it reminds me of something, Damon. The man put up, I think, like 25 and 10 last night. And it had me thinking, what could he do in like the ACC on maybe a more winning team? Like what could he do maybe on like a Wake Forest? Like could they be a tournament team with him and Juke Harris, for example? And it had me thinking, man, this is PJ Haggerty. This is PJ Haggerty. PJ Haggerty is the Bugatti outside of this, I'll just say, low-income home, right? Like this is
mobile home. With
all due respect to whomever lived in this meme house that is now infamous for being synonymous with being poor, with respect to them, but the Bugatti does not belong outside of that home, and PJ Haggerty does not belong in the K-State purple. That is my opinion. I feel like he is, I'm not saying he's the GOAT. I'm not saying he's like first round guy, but he's a very entertaining basketball player and a high level scorer. And I feel like I've been saying it all week. Do not put your fresh produce next to PJ Haggerty because right now he has mold spores all over him. K-State has infected him and he is rotting away in where the hell? Manhattan, Kansas.
The good news for PJ Haggerty is that he'll be gone out of there next year on probably what will be a good team. I would imagine that his next stop that he makes, and he's a guy that's transferred a few times here now. I would imagine his next stop that he makes, Kevin, is one that is a team that he's pretty confident is going to be solid and make the tournament. I bet you that's a big priority on the recruiting list of the next stop. But yeah, not the season to remember for Kansas State. PJ Haggerty's averaging 23.5, 5.2, and 3.9. I mean, he's having a phenomenal season. And I mean, two shows in a row, I believe you used the Johnny Venerable respectfully. You live in a dump.
I got Johnny's tweet notifications on as of like a couple weeks ago, and I think I'm just becoming Johnny Venerable on the side.
Just morphing.
Yeah, I'm shrinking into Johnny Venerable. But yeah, Damon, I feel bad for PJ Haggerty, and I it's just unfortunate. He's getting paid a lot of money to be in that, as Max says, fixer-upper of a home that is the K-State basketball program. Moving on, though, Colorado faces Houston next, and K-State faces TCU next. So both of them probably lose their upcoming game. I'm just going to throw that out there. But yeah, moving on. We do have some more from around the college basketball world. Last night, there was a game that went on, Damon. A game between the St. John's. Johnny's, right?
No, the Red Storm.
Red Storm. St. John's. I don't know ball, man. The St. John's Red Storm.
There was the St. John's baseball team was at the Renaissance Hotel just yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Down there, and I walked into the lobby to go get a coffee from Redacted Coffee Company, and all I see is a bunch of Red Storm baseball shirts. I was like, what's up, boys?
That's pretty fire. Shout out to the Red Storm in that sense. But St. John's basketball got absolutely cooked last night by UConn to the tune of 0 for 24 on their final 24 field goal attempts. I don't think they scored for 17 minutes. That number could be wrong, but the 24 number is right. Look at this chart. This is a chart of the longest droughts without a make from this season. You got Air Force, Marshall, Valparaiso, Detroit Mercy, shout out to Noah, UMass Lowell, South Carolina, all with 17, 19, 23 from an SEC side, and Texas A&M. And then Rick Pitino's St. John's could not put the ball in the basket on 24 straight tries. I was stunned, Damon. I expect that from this guy. I don't expect that from Rick Pitino, man. Just that was shocking to me, and I had to talk about it today. 24 attempts?
There's cameras.
You guys are missing 24 attempts straight. There are cameras documenting it. Do you guys know that?
We all saw it.
Man, Sam Albert says missing 24 at the end of the game is even more diabolical than missing 24 to start the game. Yeah, you're warmed up. You played a half. You went to halftime, came back out, warmed back up.
Yeah.
That is embarrassing. It's really
Yeah.
embarrassing.
What's worse, missing 24 at the end of a game, or Brandon Pfaadt giving up the yes hitter last year? That's because it's giving me similar vibes. You know what I mean? Just straight embarrassing.
I think Brandon Pfaadt is worse because there's a nickname for it. The yes hitter. That's insanity. That's diabolical.
Yeah.
It's not fair, right? At least I don't got a clever name for going 0 for 24. Going 0 for Kobe, like that's not. It feels disrespectful to Kobe. You know what I mean? Like I don't. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't know about that one, but I do know about this, Damon. We do have some more news from around the college basketball world, and this is a former Pac-12 foe. Some say frenemy nowadays that we're separated. Oregon State has fired former head coach Wayne Tinkle, and I guess Tinkle really pissed away the opportunity to continue to coach. Anyway, Wayne Tinkle fired Oregon State. He led them to that Elite Eight in 2021 and made 2 NCAA tournament appearances. That's a tough program to coach at, in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Especially nowadays with them being, out of the power conferences. It's a damn near impossible place to coach, I would argue. This isn't Gary Payton's Oregon State, brother. This is a long ways removed from those days. And they had a little bit of a run before Oregon got all that Nike money in. But yeah, they haven't been the same for, modern history. It's pretty shocking though. When you sometimes just think about like the teams that have seen more tournament success than us recently, as like an Arizona basketball fan with all the 1 and 2 seeds we've had in the meantime, even 3, 4, 5 seeds, like teams that just you have a shot at going on a run. And yet we got Jerome Tang with the Final Four, and FAU under Dusty May made the championship, they made the Final Four as well. And then you got, Wayne Tinkle has more Elite Eights than Tommy Lloyd. Like it just makes you feel sad. We're so due. We are so due for a big tournament run. It's not even funny. And it has to be this year. It's that kind of stuff where I was not planning on taking it to this spot, but seeing stuff like Wayne Tinkle making an Elite Eight is making me think like it's Final Four or bust even more. It's crazy how we got from A to B, but we got there.
We certainly did. Before we go back to point B, because I do like the idea you're bringing, this whole Wayne Tinkle thing reminded you of one name that you brought up to me pre-show, and that was this cat, Trey Tinkle. Insane name. It's even more diabolical the way he spelled it. No accent AU on the E, so it's not Trey, it's Trez. Well, if we're being completely honest.
And maybe I just called him Trey. It might be Trez Tinkle.
Trez Tinkle, that's worse. I don't know what's worse. Spelling Trey Tinkle like this, or respectfully, your name being Trez. And not being like Montrezl Harrell. When I think Trez, I think like Montrezl Harrell. I don't think this guy. Trez Tinkle. Sorry for the stray there, Trez. And oh my God, Jervis. Damon. Jervis brings up the very valid point. Also, his initials are TT. I didn't think we'd be doing P jokes on the pod today, but they kind of write themselves in a lot of ways. But yeah, that was kind of our around the college basketball sphere, we'll call it. And Damon, you did bring up a good point, and that's why I did the show, started it this way. How thankful are we to be Arizona Wildcat fans right now? The chaos going on around college basketball, and it feels like we're not being touched by much of it. Now, we've had some sickness, we've had some injury, but it hasn't necessarily bit the team the way we thought it might bite them. And I'm just thankful we're not like K-State. I'm thankful we're not like Oregon State. I'm thankful we're not even like a Michigan who might be paper tigers. We don't know. We genuinely don't know. It feels like we, as a fan base, have real faith in our team because we've seen them play the best of the best and beat the best of the best. Michigan just got beat by Duke. And I think that if we're all on this same tier, That's tough. And I think if I'm a Michigan fan, I know they're very bravado, beat my chest stuff. But if I'm being real about the situation, I would kind of feel like the third best team right now. And that would worry me going into a single elimination scenario.
You can't be talking about Ken Palm's number one team, Michigan, are you?
Sorry, Ken Pomeroy, but yes, I am. I am indeed.
But
wait, no, I think Duke's number one, right?
I'm pretty sure as of yesterday, at least. Yeah, I mean,
Ken Palm. No, Duke number one, Michigan
Duke
number two.
one,
but it's
Michigan
close. It's literally by 0.01. So
I think it was at one point different. I really do. I think that maybe some opponent results flipped it in that regard from yesterday to today, because I brought that up to you yesterday where I was like, how does that happen? How do you win the game on a neutral floor against that team by a solid margin and you're below them? But yeah, just Michigan is the darling. They really are. Yeah.
A Michigan man will bring up Ken Palm immediately. Says
they love the analytics, and the analytics love them.
They do. Who's going to get the Oregon State job? I got no clue. Maybe Bobby Hurley at this point.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I love it.
It's about what he deserves.
Bobby needs to go East Coast.
Yeah, he can't go like further northwest.
Bobby needs a rehab year with Danny, and then, he
doesn't want to do that, though.
He doesn't?
No, I mean, not from what he told.
Bob, I'm trying to help you, brother. Kevin, you know me.
The Athletic.
You know me. I'm hollering at Bobby Hurley right now, at Bob. We're talking man to man. Kevin, you know me. I'm not a Bobby Hurley hater. In fact, I want to see him in college basketball. I think it's hilarious. Bob, go take a year, maybe 2, with Danny. Chill, relax, kick your feet up a little bit. Be a part of some winning teams. Remember what it's like to win. And then go find your pick of the litter of whatever East Coast program just fired their coach. Providence needs a new coach. Who's that? Who do they want? Bobby Hurley. Seton Hall needs a new coach. They want Bobby Hurley. You know what I mean? Like, let's be smart about this, Bob.
What could Bob Hurley do at like Wake Forest? Less or more than he did at Arizona State? Sorry to Gil.
It is the ACC, so if it is, I think if it's the same, he's getting 4th, 5th place in the ACC
cooking.
Potentially.
He's cooking. Gil would be the biggest Bobby Hurley fan of all time if that was the case. Are you serious?
Could you imagine the Eric Ruby, Gil McGregor wars that could happen over Bobby's a good coach, man. No, he's not. Oh, we need that.
Midway through a Suns post game. That's awesome.
That would feed families.
Speaking of feeding families, there's a whole lot of that going on right now at Pima Community College, where they are 30-0, Damon. They finished the regular season undefeated for back-to-back seasons. And I didn't double-check this because I don't know how to double-check this, to be honest with you. But Brian Peabody himself said it, and I feel like if anybody knows, it might be that guy. And he was like, I don't think any team west of the Mississippi in JUCO history has done that. Gone 60-0 over the course of 2 regular seasons. Now, over the course of the 2 full seasons, they're 65-1. Because last year they obviously don't win the national title. You're going to end on a loss. But regular season-wise, 60-0 in the last 2 years. Unbelievable level of success. Unbelievable.
Somehow beating Tommy Lloyd at his own game, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's crazy. In his own city.
Alec with the Bruce Pascoe stray says, keep Pascoe away from Pima. Because he was talking about the jinx earlier from Bruce Pascoe, who... very curiously, like, did you catch any of that, Damon?
Mm-mm.
So, like, maybe Alec can clarify the date of this, but, like, I feel like 3 weeks ago, almost a month ago, something like that, before all this CotY stuff, I feel like kicked off, he said something to the effect of, like, man, Arizona's been really healthy this year. I'm sorry.
Just testing fate?
What? Yeah, I think at that point you're just like, man, we're kind of just balling out on a different level. Let's just put this guy's quad and every lower leg muscle at risk by being like, yeah, we're healthy.
You got to remember that, he's a big J, though. And guys like me and Kevin, we would never dare say something like that because we sit here and think that we play a role and effect on what is going to play out on the basketball court.
No,
Kevin, if you go and say something a little bit too over the top, you're going to screw us, brother. But Bruce is just sitting there being like, I'm reporting the facts.
Yeah, but I will say I don't think that anything I say matters on the court, but the one thing I really do have a little bit of superstition with is injury. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even going to use a real name. Let's just say I would never be like, wow, Mike Smith, remember that ACL he had X year of high school. It seems like he's recovered well with no side effects from that injury. The bounce is awesome. He's healthy as hell. Next week, Mike Smith goes down, re-tears. Like, I don't want that to happen. I would never want that to happen. So that's one of those things where it's like, we all know they're healthy based on the availability report. That's the one thing I don't play with. We can't talk about health. It scares me. It scares me, Damon. It's this fragile. It's so fragile in a game like basketball. But yeah, Pima Community College, absolutely.
You're telling me you don't believe in the power of the mustache. That's what you just outlined to me right now.
If that mustache starts talking to me about health and how healthy Arizona is, I would be concerned. Yes.
Well, I mean, the facts display that I shaved the rest of the beard, I kept the stash, and Arizona's undefeated again. Facts.
I'll take it.
Yes or true, Kevin?
Yes and true. On the other side of this break, Damon and I are going to get into our Tommy Lloyd Coach of the Year discussion. But first, we're going to check some receipts. So stick around, leave a like, and do not go anywhere. Do you want that Vegas feel without any of the Vegas fluff, I'll say? The lights and thrills that aren't really thrills. And you leave Vegas, you feel exhausted. You don't feel recharged, even though it was a vacation. You don't feel like you had the time of your life. You feel exhausted, drained, but not at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, where they're bringing the Vegas. All you got to do is bring you. And you don't leave Gila River exhausted. You leave Gila River Resorts and Casinos rejuvenated. I've been saying that word a lot today, but that is true. Rejuvenation at Gila River, whether it's their spa thing you can get down with or their live events, which are countless. I'm talking from now through April. They're going to have exclusive concerts, extended DJ sets, showgirls, and also curated chef-driven dining. Does that interest anyone? I feel like we just covered all possible interests right there.
Hit the air horn for me, please.
Oh, we got an air horn coming in hot. That was incredible. Absolute Karchenkov. And they bring the Vegas. Only at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, whether it's Wild Horse Pass, Santan, V Kiva, Lone Butte. They got a whole set of restaurants and 3,500, I believe, slots and live table games. Unbelievable selection. But like I said, for more, visit playathgila.com for the full calendar of events.
Speaking of events, Kevin, I know that I always love to make the most of my time, especially living up here in Phoenix. There's so many things going on. And where do I look when I need to buy tickets for said events, whether it's a comedy show, a concert, any type of event that you possibly, a sporting event, of course, considering this is PHNX Sports, a sporting event would make a lot of sense. I go to the Game Time app. Game Time is a app that curates all different ticketing apps into one, weeding out the best deals for you. They have a great interface, much better than its competitors. I know that's one of my favorite features about the Game Time app is how easy and smooth it is to use that application. I don't have to sign in every single time that I want to click on the app. Just different things that kind of set me off about other rival ticketing apps. Kevin, Game Time is the best, full stop, no question about it. And it is because of their just more notable features that they have on there. Of course, they have the lowest price guarantee where they'll match that price for you if you can find a better price on a competing market. And then, of course, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, views from your seats where you can see exactly what your seat view is going to look like before you make a purchase that you regret, before you click on something and there's a big pillar in your way and you're sitting there and you're going, what the hell? I thought I got second level seats here and all of a sudden I can't see anything. Maybe that's why they were so cheap. No, Game Time weeds out all of that process for you, and they put the fees right in front of your face when you're buying so that you're not just going into the shopping cart later when you're doing your checkout and going, why are these tickets $100 more expensive? Because we all know how much that feeling sucks when you're buying tickets on all sorts of apps. So guys, get on Game Time. It is the best, full stop, no question about it. And of course, if you're buying college basketball tickets, which right now, hot seats in Tucson, if you're looking at the prices this weekend for this Saturday game at Kansas, it is very, very expensive. Take the guesswork out of buying those basketball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, use promo code PHNX and get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today.
Download the Game Time app and make sure to always check your receipts, people, because you never know what you're going to find when you check your damn receipts. Now, Damon and I, we're not maybe the number one receipt keepers in the world. I wouldn't necessarily put us in that kind of category, but we definitely keep track of the disrespect when it comes to our Arizona Wildcats, and there was a lot of that going on in the preseason. I think we all remember that. There was a lot of people, just curiously and conveniently forgetting that the Arizona Wildcats, that Jaden Bradley, that all these guys even existed. And so, yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Tommy Lloyd being Coach of the Year in a second. But first, before we do that, Damon, let's check some receipts, shall we?
Yeah, why don't we? What are we starting with? The Big 12 preseason first team?
Yeah, let's do the Big 12 preseason first team. So this is a list on the left of the overall preseason poll.
Mm-hmm.
And on the right, you have the Big 12 all Big 12 preseason team, and then a list of preseason awards predictions. So let's start with that preseason poll. Arizona coming in at 4th with 1 first-place vote. BYU got a first-place vote, and the rest of them went to Houston, rightfully so, coming off of winning the conference last year. Preseason all Big 12 team. No Arizona Wildcats. We got PJ Haggerty in there. We got Milos Uzan as a unanimous selection, which at the time felt fair. We didn't really think that Kingston Flemings was going to take over. But not a single Arizona player is crazy. Not only that, you go down to the bottom right, preseason player of the year, JT Toppin, fair. Preseason newcomer of the year, Lawan Watts.
Huh?
Preseason freshman of the year, Darren Peterson. Fair. Totally fair. But the all Big 12 team, no Arizona players, nuts. Right, Damon? It's insane. It's truly insane. And then I think the preseason poll, you could argue until the cows come home about, whether or not Arizona should have been 4th or 3rd or 2nd or 5th or whatever. But I do think, judging by what we've seen from this team, looking back on it, hindsight bias at our availability, 4th in 1 first place vote is crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. I can you put that list back up for a second, Kevin? I got to say something off the top, and guys, earmuffs if you're listening with your kids in the car, because I just can't hold my tongue any longer. Does that shit say BYU at number 2
with 1 first place vote?
Huh? Lawan Watts, newcomer of the year. What were these people smoking before they made these votes, Kevin?
Maybe, I would say pure edibles, but it doesn't make you manic. It doesn't make you lose your mind. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's crazy. To leave Jaden Bradley off the all Big 12 preseason team is nuts. To not even I guess it's a loaded freshman class, right? But Braden Burry's not getting a shout. Koa Pete not getting a shout at maybe, newcomer. Because we can give newcomer to a freshman, I believe, and not give them freshman of the year. That's tough. Then you get into semantics. But either way, it felt like Arizona was being disrespected in the general discourse preseason. We showed Jaden Bradley at Media Day some lists that were circulating of the best backcourts that did not even have Arizona as an honorable mention, nonetheless at the top 10, right? And I feel like, as Bill says, maybe we gave Jaden Bradley a little bit of bulletin board material this year. Maybe we could take a little bit of 0.5% credit for what Jaden Bradley has done this year in tandem with one Braden Burries, who has definitely put not only the conference but the nation on notice. And not only the nation, NBA draft scouts on notice. It feels like this team preseason saw all this stuff going on and said, we're going to beat the brakes off of this projection. This is insane. To the point where Damon and I, but this tweet is from Damon, we've been saying on this show, if you've been listening for months, you've been hearing us say it. No preseason all Big 12 team. No preseason player of the year, lists. No preseason freshman of the year list, because understandably AJ DeBonsa and Cam Boozer and Darren Peters, we get it. Tommy Lloyd should be coach of the year. He's working with a bunch of nobodies. And this is what Damon said.
It's been decided.
2 thoughts. Damon, take us away.
Yeah, you just look at that list, you look at the players that are on there, and not that any of these players are not phenomenal, Kevin, because I think that all of them are very, very good in their own right, but you don't have any Arizona Wildcat representation on the all Big 12 first team, and you have a team that's 26-2, first place in conference, and that has NBA players very clearly on the roster up and down. And I said just number 1, the Jaden Bradley disrespect is crazy, because this is a guy that has played in this conference. We have proof of it. We've seen him thrive in this conference. If you want to go and look at the box score last year and say 12 points per game, 4 assists. That's not that crazy out of Jaden Bradley. Go be my guest and do it. But you are designated not a ball knower from here on forward. You didn't watch. You didn't actually watch Arizona play. Because if you did, you would have seen that dude was the best player, most consistent player on that Arizona team last year, and that his defense, his leadership, just his all-around game is what makes him special. And not valuing that experience when you've seen it tangibly in the Big 12 is wild to me, which I said from the beginning. You also just seemingly forget the only two blue chipper freshmen that get forgotten about are the number 10 and 11 recruits in the country, Braden Burries and CotY, respectively. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought that we were shouting out the guys that were supposed to come in and take over big roles. I guess not. That's fine. You look at like maybe how they handle Houston, right? And they put Milos Uzan, Joseph Tugler, Emmanuel Sharp on the list. Obviously, that's not Chris Sanick Jr. That's not Kingston Flemings. It's not Isaiah Harwell. It's not the 5 stars that they brought in, right? So which one are we doing here? Because I want some consistency. Are we valuing the blue chip guys like AJ DeBansta and Darren Peterson? Because if so, then I want to see Braden Burries and CotY get shown some
100%,
respect.
100%.
Are we valuing the guys who have done it in the conference before and that we think might take it to another level? If so, I want to see Jaden Bradley get some respect. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too, to steal one of my guy Kevin's favorite analogies. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And it leads us to point number 2. Tommy Lloyd's the damn coach of the year. I even went conservative here, Kevin. I said if Arizona finishes top 3 to 4 with 0 first team caliber players, he deserves coach of the year, because I know that the rest of the teams in the top 3 to 4 are going to be teams that have lots of first team caliber players on it, because that's what was designated. Arizona's going to probably win the conference. Didn't have a single player on there. It has been decided. Tommy Lloyd is at minimum the Big 12 coach of the year. And when we're talking nationally, I don't know who you could possibly put ahead of him and argue that their case is better than that of Tommy Lloyd when you factor in things like this.
Now, we're going to get into that, in our next segment about the candidates that could possibly be ahead or right next to or behind Tommy Lloyd in this race. But like you said, Damon, it feels like in terms of, strength of competition, in terms of, what he's done developmentally for his guy. I mean, he might have 3 first-round draft picks this year. Now, I know it's going to be close between Mo Krivas and whether or not someone takes a risk on Ivan Karchenkov. Like, I'm big on Ivan Karchenkov, but I don't think that he's in this year's draft class. Like, maybe consensus in that. He's probably in that, like, 28 to 35 range right now, I would assume.
I think the over-under is at, like, 2.5, but it's, like, minus 200, or like minus 180. Like, there should be 3+ players selected, but it's somewhat close.
Yeah. I could genuinely see Mo Krivas going at like 29. Like, I could see him going like in that range, because the bigs in this draft, we don't got to go down a whole rabbit hole, but the bigs in this draft are not deep. It's not a deep bigs draft class. I mean, they're talking about Jaden Quaintance in just outside the lottery. The guy's played like 2 games this year.
Yeah.
So, like, the bigs class just is not that deep. But either way, Tommy Lloyd, the man deserves the coach of the year if that's what we're doing. Now, there's still some games left, right? But this is what we're looking at right now. It feels like Tommy Lloyd is coach of the year. Now, in terms of where it's continued to go, we have lists like this. Casey Jacobson. Now, I know a lot of Arizona Wildcat fans maybe don't necessarily respect Casey's opinion on certain things. I understand the reasons as to why, but still watches a lot of college basketball, still very knowledgeable on the sport of basketball. And this was his player of the year ladder, his top 10. We got Zuby Ejiofor at 10, Jeremy Fears Jr. at 6, and the other ones I actually understand. But to not have, and I understand why Arizona's not going to have players on these kind of lists, because it's such a balanced team. No one is truly driving the boat.
Yeah.
It could be Jaden Bradley's boat one night. It could be Braden Burry's boat. It could be a tandem of Del Orso and Karchenkov. It could be CotY and Mo Krivas. It could be Tobe Awaka and Jaden Bradley. I understand why they don't have You got Zuby Ejiofor on there. Can we get like a pity vote for Braden Burries or Jaden? Braden Burries has been taking over the Big 12 recently. You have a lot of studs on that list, but I struggle to believe that a top 3 team in the country who is number 1 for almost 10 weeks straight can't get a top player on any list. So it continues that it feels like with what he has, Tommy Lloyd has made the best possible team. I think that deems Coach of the Year. Damon, what do you make of Arizona players not continuously being on these lists even as the season goes on?
The Sven Jotmo disrespect is out of control, Kevin. How are you not going to put him on that top 10 list, as our guy Sam Alberts puts in the chat? But no, I mean, I do kind of understand the idea that like Arizona is so balanced that they're not going to have someone put up enough of a crazy stat line to maybe be on these rankings for National Player of the Year. Now, I think if you were expanding the rankings out to like top 50 players, Arizona should get 5 players on the list. You know what I mean? And that's a tenth of the entire country. So that's where Arizona obviously thrives, and I think everyone knows that when watching the team. If they played on lesser teams, if say alternate reality Bizarro world and CotY stays home and goes to ASU, disgusting, right? I mean, I'm sorry I even conjured up this image, but
35 and 10.
What's he dropping? 26 a game?
Yeah.
I mean, he's the focal. He gets to shoot the ball on every possession. And then all of a sudden, ASU wouldn't be good enough to be in the conversation, but like his stats would be, right? So that's where I think that, Arizona is so balanced. They hurt themselves in that regard. But yeah, Tommy Lloyd is, there was a lot of, I feel like, this roster had a big turnover. It's not like, it was just a full turnaround or with the same guys. Obviously, Jaden Bradley comes back. Anthony Del Orso comes back from, being a starter kind of in name only, but not really in minute share to almost the opposite this year, or, at least recently he's been playing in the 30+ minute range. But, it's not like you brought back Tobe Awaka as well, but like Krivos didn't play most of the season. CotY, Braden, Yvonne, Dwayne, all new players. Ceedy, even Evan Nelson, if you want to expand it out, new players. So you replaced almost your entire roster from last season, and you only turned it up a notch. You're winning the best conference in the country as of right now. You have a huge advantage with 3 games left, up 2 games, to close this thing out. I don't see an argument for anyone other than Tommy Lloyd. It would be baffling if he did not win Big 12 Coach of the Year. If Big 12 Coach of the Year. Yeah, it's done and dusted, right?
That can't even be
who even would be in the conversation in the Big 12 if we were putting a list together for Big 12 coaches.
All right, so right now I think the list would be Tommy Lloyd.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bill Self, because of what he's been able to do with Darren Peterson being in and out of the lineup, having to manage and develop that balance.
I think Bill Self conventionally absolutely deserves it, especially when you factor in that Kansas was like 6th in anyone's preseason ranking, and I think me and you both were like, watch out for Kansas this year. I don't know why we're not talking about a program that has the most distinguished coach in the country and the number 1 recruit in the country. They're going to be pretty good, and they are good. And Kansas has definitely been better than what they were supposed to be going into this year. But I also think Bill Self almost would get hurt by the fact that he's Bill freaking Self. And it's like, there's a level to which you have to be good enough for Bill Self to win Coach of the Year. Like Eric Spoelstra has 0 NBA Coach of the Years. That's crazy. He's going to finish in top 10 NBA coach wins all time. And it's not even going to be a conversation. He was so young when he started. He's had so many great seasons, but you're almost being graded on a curve. And I feel like Bill Self, like he'd be put in a different category because he's Bill Self.
I agree with you. And I also think, like, to Sam Albert's point, Johnny Dawkins should either be 2nd or 3rd on this list.
Yeah.
And I think that
I agree.
It's well warranted with what he's been able to do. I mean, getting a whole new roster of guys. We've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast, how impressed we've been with UCF until they've had a couple bad losses. But you understand what I'm saying. I think he deserves to be in that race. I think he also benefits from the fact that I don't think they would give it to Kelvin Sampson this year. I don't think they would, I think they're just better candidates. I think it's probably Tommy Lloyd.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's probably Tommy Lloyd. Oh,
Jerome Tang.
Yeah, for sure.
Bobby Hurley.
It's a toss up for me. I think I'm going to lean towards Johnny Dawkins at 2, but Bill Self going into the year with a top 3 NBA draft pick on his team and then not having that guy consistently, even when you think that he might be able to go, that's got to be a real MFer to deal with. You know what I mean? I hate when people do that, censor themselves, and they say, oh, shoot. But, like, it's got to be a real, like, problem to deal with from a coaching perspective and just knowing what your team's going to look like on a day-in, day-out basis.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to give it to Johnny Dawkins. So I'll say Tommy Lloyd, Johnny Dawkins, Bill Self. That's the top 3. If we're going to do a top 5, I think TJ Otzelberger.
Yeah.
And then Kelvin Sampson.
I was going to say
real quick, if Grant McCaslin finishes out this year on a positive note, put him above Kelvin. Kelvin's now at 5. Grant McCaslin's now at 4.
Yeah, I hear you. What if Wes Miller, just storms back, leads the Cincinnati Bearcats to a tournament run, Kevin?
I could hear it. I could hear him maybe being second behind Tommy.
Yeah.
But like the majority of the year was so underwhelming. I think I think at highest he could go was 3 behind Dawkins, behind Lloyd. Because the consistency of the top 2 guys has been much greater than Wes Miller's team.
Yeah, I think Johnny Dawkins, when you factor in the roster retention 0% and had to replace everybody, and then goes and has a better record in conference than BYU does right now. I think that deserves a lot of credit. Johnny Dawkins absolutely second. I think TJ Otzelberger third because Iowa State's top 5. We didn't show them a lot of respect going into the preseason.
We didn't.
And we looked at their recruiting class and we were like,
dude, Killian Torres. I know we haven't talked about this. We haven't even said that name on this podcast, I don't think, which is a crime.
First uttering confirmed. I can confirm that right now.
But I will say, we definitely disrespected their recruiting class because Killian Torres is a dog, and he's going to be a Cyclone legend in my opinion. He's so good. Both ways, he's so good.
We were sitting up there being like, this is their recruiting class?
Yeah.
Iowa State, cook it up. The season's done before it starts. Top 5 team.
Not great. Not great from this podcast.
No.
But this podcast did call Kansas. This podcast did call UCF. And while Oklahoma State was good, we were on top of that, but then they blew it. So
true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I do think that's the top 5, though, in the Big 12 Coach of the Year race, for sure.
Yeah, and now I want to flip it, and I want to do, before we hit our next ad break, Kevin, worst Big 12 Coach of the Year.
Ooh. I mean, it's got to be Jerome Tang.
Jerome Tang is the big favorite. The big favorite. But Scott Drew's got to be talked about here, Kevin.
He does.
We got to throw Scott Drew into the mix.
Scott Drew might – oh, man. See, it's
that
tough.
Dude has two NBA players on his team, and they stink.
I was gonna say it's tough to judge Alex Jensen though, because I was gonna say Scott Drew should probably be second worst right now.
I thought Utah was gonna be the worst team in the conference though before the season, so it's not exactly shocking to me that they are the worst team in the conference. Kansas State I thought would be mediocre.
Baylor I thought would be decent,
and I thought Baylor I thought would be a tournament team.
Yeah. And
2 years in a row, Baylor has been kind of a disaster from being a team that should make the tournament. Well, I guess they did last year. But
Scott Drew might be worst. But hear me out. I have a hot take. And I don't even know like where I stand on it, but we're throwing this out there. I'm gonna throw it out there. Where does Kevin Young fall in this conversation?
Yeah,
you have a top 3 draft pick, a generational talent and scorer. Mm-hmm. I know you've lost Richie Saunders later in the year, but you weren't like this world-beating dominant team before then. You really needed some things to go your way in some of these games, right? And I feel like he's really underwhelmed this year, and understandably, people are going to not talk about that as much because of the Richie Saunders injury. Valid, right? But if AJ DeBanza actually turns out to be the next Tracy McGrady, like people are talking about, it's going to be looked at like, how did he not at least make a Sweet 16 at BYU, right? Like Kevin Young, and as much as we love to talk about him being like NBA guy, like NBA system, and he's an up-and-coming coach in this conference, which everything, all that is still true. But I do think he's got to fall pretty low on this worst or pretty high on the worst Big 12 coaches list, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the teams that he's played in conference, he has beaten exactly one team with a pulse, Kevin. Exactly one. Iowa State. 2 games ago. Before that, and that's without Richie Saunders. Brother, that is when Richie Saunders was already done for the season, is when he got his first win against a legitimate team.
Yeah.
When he had Richie Saunders, he lost to Texas Tech, he lost to Arizona, he lost to Kansas, he lost to Houston, he lost to Arizona again, then he beats Iowa State, then he gets blown out by UCF. Kevin Young's got to be talked about here as well. They're still a tournament team. They're still in the rankings in the top 25. So I think that alone kind of gets you over the hump of being the worst because you're still good enough. But man, has it been disappointing.
Yeah.
You had as many preseason first place votes as Arizona did. You were second in the preseason poll. Second after Houston.
They had 2 all-conference players, which actually might have been still true.
And you're looking at finishing 7th right now, Kevin. 7th in the Big 12 BYU is in right now. I mean, it's got to be talked about. I think that Scott Drew, I think Jerome Tang is easy, probably number 1 if you want to just cook it up. I think Scott Drew maybe has done like a worse job with a team that should have been better than Jerome Tang. If you're really digging through the weeds, like you're a national champion coach. You have 2 NBA players. How are you 4-11 in third to last place, only above Kansas State and Utah?
Timu Rutgers, brother, get on the bandwagon. Timu Rutgers.
I mean, that was a great call. It really was. And so I think that for me, honestly, I'm going Scott Drew, Jerome Tang, and then I think maybe after that, probably Kevin Young, because I'm trying to look at teams that have expectations too. Like Alex Jensen, Tad Boyle, Bobby Hurley. I thought nothing of those teams. Steve Lutz had a good first half of the year and then a disaster second half. So I don't really know how to weigh that necessarily. But yeah, I think that would be my top 3. I think Kevin Young makes it to third place on my worst coach of the year in the Big 12 this year list.
I think my list would be in order from worst to least worst. Jerome Tang, Scott Drew, Kevin Young, Alex Jensen, Bobby Hurley.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So you got Bobby. You got Bobby ahead of Steve Lutz, who has a better roster, has the same record in conference.
That's a good point.
And Bobby put together a ragtag crew.
Dave,
ragtag crew of scrubs.
And I forgot about
Mucinex playing big minutes, and they got the same record.
I forgot about this 5-game losing streak from Oklahoma State recently too. Yeah, I gotta go Steve Lutz over Bobby, but Steve Lutz is still gonna be at Oklahoma State next year, right?
Yeah, he will be. If Bobby wasn't in year 11, he'd still be at ASU probably. It's just the fact
you're right.
That they're like done with him at this
He does
point.
Deserve to be 5, and Bobby deserved to be 6.
I think look, Bob obviously not a good team. They're 14-14, 5-10 in conference, twice as many losses. But like we were on this show, full SpongeBob movie in unison, knee slapping each other, laughing. The guys smacking all the food on top of each other, meme with looking at ASU's roster going into the season. Were we not? We were like, this is perhaps the worst collection of college basketball players I've ever seen. Yeah. And they're in 5th to last place. Like I think you gotta give Bobby a little bit of credit. A little bit.
You do. No, you actually really do. And I think he's probably like 6th or 7th worst performance this year on the list. And that's middle of the pack, practically. Almost there. You're almost there. But speaking of
recruiting wise, obviously disaster job.
Disaster. But he's also like kind of a lame duck in a way.
No, 100%. It was like what Adia was going to have to go through this last year if Arizona wasn't like, go to SMU.
We're gonna break down Tommy Lloyd's Coach of the Year chances after our second break. We're also going to talk about what candidates might dethrone Tommy Lloyd in this Coach of the Year race, albeit unlikely. Leave a like, drink your water, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. If you're going to pick the number 1 overall draft pick in the 2026 NBA draft, you're going to have to do your research. But if you've unfortunately been in some sort of accident involving serious injury and wrongful death, you're also going to have to do research because that's way more important than who's going to go number 1 overall in the draft. Am I right or wrong, right? And when you do that research, you're going to find one name and one name only. Well, technically 2 names. Mark and Alexis Breyer, the husband and wife law team. And their number, you need to write this down. I'm serious. You never know when you're going to need it. 602-783-8841. 602-783-8841. The husband and wife law team, they are dedicated to bringing their clients out here in the Valley years and years of trial experience. And they are one of just 1% of lawyers certified by the Arizona State Bar to be specialists in injury and wrongful death litigation. I think that's key. And now also another key to choosing the husband and wife law team is their communication with you. You can reach out to them at any time for any reason to talk about your case. And they also communicate the strengths and the weaknesses of your case, so you know exactly what you're going into. Now, they're not going to guarantee a W or an L, but they're going to try their hardest to win that case. But you're going to be working with a full deck of cards, and they can promise you that. So if you've had a serious injury, call the husband and wife law team first, 602-783-8841, or visit their website at the show notes in our description, and let them know PHNX sent you.
Kevin, one of my favorite things about living in the great state of Arizona is, of course, the fact that Pure Edibles is just a staple of the state here. And I say it all the time, but founded in Arizona, available at over 130 dispensaries in the great state of Arizona. And there's only 171 dispensaries. So if you're at one of the 40 or so that doesn't have Pure Edibles, go find yourself a new place to shop for your cannabis products. Guys, Pure Edibles, created in Flagstaff at the Noble Herb Dispensary. It's the home of Pure Edibles, is now made right here in Phoenix, Arizona. The gummies are not covered in sugar like its competitors. They have the effects of each gummy clearly marked and listed on the tin. So whether you're looking for maybe a little bit of added sleep benefit, maybe you struggle sleeping, or you want some more uplifting effects, Pure Edibles is going to tell you exactly what you're getting into before you take something, and it's just not the vibe you were looking for, right? They of course have unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana-derived THC, and they're designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable and easy to dial in the exact dosage that you want. Guys, Pure Edibles is just doing it better than everybody else. They even have a collaboration with Mother Road Brewing Company where they got the Tower Station IPA all-in-one smokable device. Check it out for yourself. Find where they're selling all sorts of Pure Edibles products on their website, and go find yourself some Pure Edibles products at over one of the 130 dispensaries statewide across Arizona.
Welcome on back to the AZ Wildcats podcast, where in this final segment, we are talking National Coach of the Year race. And honestly, same thing with the Big 12 applies, but to a lesser degree. It feels like this is still Tommy Lloyd's award to lose, in my opinion. Damon, do you feel the same? Going in, before we even look at candidates, do you feel like this is Tommy Lloyd's award? This should be Tommy Lloyd's award to lose.
Yeah, I do. I mean, this is a guy that already has a National Coach of the Year award under his belt. And we could be looking at, in, the first 5 seasons of Tommy Lloyd, 2 National Coach of the Year awards if he can take it home this year. I mean, that would be remarkable. Remarkable, Kevin. And you know, it's crazy when I think you did a good job yesterday of kind of trying to provide some perspective on how great this season has been, like how fun it is and has been, and how much, you know, we should appreciate the guys on this roster for the time that we have remaining watching this team because of the ride, right? And I think this is another spot where, as Arizona fans, like I said it maybe last week, 2 weeks ago, but I think Tommy Lloyd would be the most coveted coach in the entire country. If you're looking at, you know, like starting random program X today, you don't know where in the country it's going to be. You don't know what job it is. You don't know what conference you're in. I'm taking Tommy Lloyd over every single other candidate out there. And to be able to sit up here and say that about a coach at the University of Arizona, I think is truly special. Like this, you know, obviously Arizona is one of the premier programs in the country. But that being said, this is not Kentucky. This is not Kansas. This is not North Carolina. This is not Duke. And those are the schools that I think that you expect to have, quote unquote, the best coach in the country, right? Like it's going to be at one of those schools. Or if it's not for one given year, one of those schools is going to go poach one of those guys. Kentucky's going, yeah, we're licking our chops to fire Mark Pope because he stinks, and we can go get someone better because this guy's out on the market and he will take this job in 2 seconds. But I think we got a special one here in Tommy Lloyd, Kevin, where this is a marriage that like is healthy. He loves being in Tucson. He loves this city. He loves like the overall vibes and culture, I think, of the community that is here in Tucson and in the state of Arizona. And you know, like I think we have the best coach in the country coaching at the University of Arizona, and that's special.
It really is. And to your point, I was talking to Espo about this after Southwest Bias this morning, but I've been trying to not go too far with this take that I've had for some time now.
Oh, are you going to go there?
And I haven't wanted to bring it to air, and I won't fully go there yet, but I'll give a taste of it. Like, I genuinely feel like in this Tommy Lloyd run that we're watching, whether it starts and ends at Arizona or starts and ends somewhere else, like,
you better hope Brian Edwards isn't watching this podcast.
I feel like, and he's not going to get offended at this. This is objective, in my opinion, fact. It's objective opinion. But I think we're watching like a legendary coaching career start here in Tucson with Tommy Lloyd. Like nationally relevant, legendary stuff. Like years down the line, people might be comparing X up-and-coming coach to what Tommy Lloyd accomplished in his X amount of years in Tucson. I think we're talking about that kind of guy. To Damon's point, we lose to Kansas and we lose to Kansas. We did not win the game in Fog Allen. I know we didn't. I need to do all that emphasis, but when I say what I'm about to say, you're going to get it. Kansas fans were borderline begging for Tommy Lloyd to be their next head coach after the game. A game that they won. I don't think oftentimes you beat a team and you're like, man, I can't wait to get the coach we just beat the hell out of.
True.
But you feel that way when Tommy Lloyd loses to you, or you beat Tommy Lloyd, or you lose to Tommy Lloyd, whatever it is. There's so much respect for him nationally, and I think that like most of Tucson feels that way, but some Arizona fans got to catch up because we're talking about a guy who, if he beats Kansas, if he beats Iowa State, if he beats Colorado, he is the winningest coach in the first 5 years of a career ever at D1. Ever. Like, not in the last, like, no ESPN stats of, like, he's the best coach to not tie his left shoe and go, 35 wins and wear a hat backwards on a Tuesday. No. Most wins in your first 5 years coaching at the Division I level, period, could be Tommy Lloyd. That you literally don't see that every 5 years. This is a special guy, a special coach, and we're very lucky to have him in Tucson. And to the people that are like, oh, no, Sweet 16. I get it, but you got to see the forest for the trees. You know what I mean? You got to be able to see the big picture of things sometimes. And what he's done so far in these first 5 years, it takes coaches 15 years to accomplish what Tommy Lloyd has accomplished in 5 years. You know what I mean? Wayne Tinkle, would you want Wayne Tinkle, Arizona Wildcat fans, who would have got you to an Elite Eight in 2021 or whatever the hell it was, and then you can't get back, and you have 2 tournament appearances total. Tommy Lloyd's got you in the tournament every year. You might not have loved the results. I don't love the results in some of these games, but you got to be in them to win them. And I think Arizona is simply being in the tournament every single year, making it to at least a Sweet 16 every single year. It feels like that's halfway to the goal. You got to get there to be there. And now you put together a team like this year's team that has a chance to really break through, and you actually should have more confidence. Oh, we've been there before. We have all this experience. But it feels like Arizona fans, because of valid PTSD reasons, you see those Sweet 16s as like a roadblock and not progress. Right? But if Tommy Lloyd started his first 5 years, I don't know, no tournament barely made it, then a Sweet 16, then another Sweet 16, people would want him fired. Literally, they'd be like, he's done nothing. He missed the tournament in Arizona. You don't do that, which is true. But I genuinely think he's putting together a resume that will be talked about for quite some time, Damon. I really do. But let's talk about these candidates as well.
Yeah,
right?
No doubt. W asks a question in the chat. Hypothetically speaking, how long do you envision Tommy in Tucson? 5 to 10 years? More? I think more. I know that's a kind of a wild expectation to have, but he's so young, and it feels like, as I said, such the perfect marriage that I don't really see a world where it stops. And really the only way I see that happening is if he gets poached. But as I've said, like I just don't think that Tommy is that type of individual. I think that this is the place that he wants to be. He said, I had no reason to leave Gonzaga, guys. He told everybody that. Except if this program, Arizona, offered me this job, the head coaching position. And that's exactly what happened. So why would he then go, yeah, I want to go move to Lawrence, Kansas? I don't think that's the play. I really don't. And I know that this is a similar type of talk that what you could hear on PHNX Sun Devils with Anthony Totri and Eric Ruby in regards to Kenny Dillingham all the time. But
he didn't leave. And every school tried to poach him.
He didn't leave. And also, Tommy's better than Kenny. Like,
For sure.
Tommy is everything that they talk about with Kenny. You know what I mean? Like, we actually have the guy who is the most coveted coach. And I think that, this, I see it being longer than that. I see it being like almost as I thought that you were going to take it to this level, like a Lute Olson 2.0 kind of, where
I didn't even want to go there, but
you're looking at the program when it's said and done. And when Tommy Lloyd hangs up, his quarter zip at the end of his career, and you're saying it's Lute and it's Tommy, and those are the pillars of this program with a really good run from Sean Miller in between. No disrespect to Sean Miller, but like it would be a two-headed monster of what this program is historically. And I really do think that that's the road that we're headed towards. And when you have 3 Sweet 16s in your first 4 years, Kevin, those 3 Sweet 16 runs that you went on, like, I know that it's like, I might sound like LeBron here being like, I looked at Kobe and I said, he going for 70 tonight. But like, the 1 year we didn't make the Sweet 16 was the year that I had circled of like, this team actually sucks. This team is not good. I watched them play and I have no confidence that this team is going to actually go on a run. Those other 3 teams I thought were Final Four contenders, right? And it felt like the Sweet 16 was almost the bare minimum. All 3 of those years, I know that the TCU game was scary in a way, it goes to OT, but like, you felt like the better team in the first 2 rounds of all 3 of those years, where you're already getting to the second weekend like that, automatic. And now this year is another year that feels like that, where you're like, I don't see a world where they're going to lose one of the first 2 matchups, maybe their third round matchup, right? Like this, if you're getting enough shots at the dartboard, if you're getting to the Sweet 16 damn near every single year, and it's like easy to get there, you're going to break through and eventually find some tournament success. So Arizona fans just need to relax a little bit. Yeah, like
calma.
Yeah, it's 3 Sweet 16s in the first 4 years. It's not the end goal, but if we keep making the Sweet 16, there's going to be Final Four runs. There's going to be a national championship or 2 mixed in. It's going to work itself out.
And I agree. And I also want to say that, like Kobe, I've been telling this to close friends and family for a minute now, but also like Kobe, I did not want to get crashed out upon. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll keep this off air for a while. But it does feel like the year to maybe broach that and be like, if Tommy does do, what has escaped Arizona for many years now and make a Final Four and potentially break through and cut down nets, like, where does that put him? Who asked us that in the office today? Was it Connor?
It was Espo.
Okay, yeah. Espo asked us, like, where does that put him? And I was very open about it. I definitely deferred to Damon, who knows more Tucson history than I've forgotten. But, like, I feel like that puts him in a class that's knocking on certain doors. You have to continue to build upon it. You can't be Mick Cronin. You can't just make one miracle run with a miracle team and then never make it again and expect respect. But what he's been doing is winning. And all he does, seemingly, is win. And now to Alex's point, the Clemson game hurts.
Oh, man. That's the one
the Princeton game
killer.
Sucks, right?
But I think the Clemson game hurts more because you just were so demonstrably better than Clemson.
Yeah.
And you could see it on the court, and you're a game away from being a game away from the Final Four.
True.
You should have been in the Elite Eight and I think that's why the Xavier matchup with the Lauri Markkanen, Lonzo Trier team hurts so bad too, is because that team was good enough to make a Final Four, and they should have been in the Elite Eight, and they choked it away. And we choked that Clemson game. Like,
we did.
As much
Jaden Bradley was the only guy that showed up.
As much as Caleb Love showed up in the Duke game last year and was carrying the team and saying, like, let's keeping it a game from being a blowout, he was horrible in that Clemson game. And yeah, that is the one that hurts. I know Princeton first round matchup, you're embarrassed, but like, I'm watching that game and I'm going, Princeton's better than us. They're better than us. Princeton's power forward is just cooking to Bellis on every possession, and you're like, holy hell, we're awful. We're gonna lose.
And I think that like we were saying, like, while those losses are far less than ideal, in fact, they're borderline unacceptable, right? In that way, they happened. And I think the mark of a great leader, the mark of a great coach, the mark of a great player, the mark of a great employee, the mark of a great person is how they respond to adversity. It's going to happen. You don't want it to happen. Now what? Right? And Tommy Lloyd spoke about it this year. He was asked about how those past, we'll call them traumas, have affected him as a coach, improved his coaching ability. And he said, you know what? Like, I didn't want the Clemson game to happen. I didn't want the Princeton result to happen. But they did, and I become a better coach as a result of that. I have so much wealth of experience now in the last 5 years to lean upon. Think about the lack of, and this is no excuse, we're not doing retroactive excuse making, but this is context. From where Tommy Lloyd is now, imagine the lack of experience he had going up against Princeton, going up against Clemson, right? Like, I don't know the depth disparity of experience between Princeton's coach and Tommy Lloyd at the time. Same thing with Clemson and Tommy Lloyd at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, Tommy Lloyd today with that same team does not lose those games, in my opinion. Now, again, they could lose to Princeton 100 times out of 100. They could lose to Clemson 100 times out of 100. But I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's what's possible. I think if Tommy Lloyd had the experience he has today, he wins those games. And we will truly see that this March, right? Like what this level of experience has gotten Tommy Lloyd to a point. Because if he can't do it this year, like I'm not saying he can never do it because you never know. It could just be your year one year. But if you can't do it with this team, break through to a Final Four, it's going to be very hard for fans to buy in to the idea that you're going to just make a Final Four with a lesser team, right? Unless they look spectacular. So
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And that is where fans will go. But here's where, again, like I know that I'm not a stranger to, a little bit of doomsday mode. Like Kevin watches games with me. We're down 6 to Baylor and I'm going, oh my God, the Big 12 has been taken from us.
In the first half.
Chain snatched. And you're like, all right, buddy, calm down a little bit. So I get it, right? But at the same time, Kevin, like Lute Olson didn't win with his best teams. Arizona fans worship Lute Olson, rightfully so. He built this program with his bare hands. But that being said, 97 was nowhere close to Lute Olson's best team. You look at the best teams that this program's had, 88, Final Four, you don't win it. 92's up there, you don't win it. You make the Final Four. 01, definitely better than 97. You don't win it. You get close, but you don't win it. Like there are so many teams that were 1 seeds, 2 seeds that didn't win, and it took the 5 seed to win. It was the 5 seed that won. A team that had a really disappointing regular season, man. And then they went in and they had the talent and they beat all the 1 seeds along the way with the NCAA record, 3 wins against 1 seeds. But Lute Olson wasn't winning with his best team. So that is 100% what would happen if Tommy lost in the Sweet 16 again with the doomsday mode people. But like, it would just be crazy because it's the same people that are like, you'll never be Lute.
I agree.
And yet it'd be like, if we make it like an Elite 8 with this team or something, that would be pretty on par with kind of what Lute Olson was doing with his better teams. It took one of those underdog teams to get the full job finished.
Because what do we always talk about on this podcast? Like the margins in March are razor hair thin.
I meant 94, not 92. Sam is right, by the way.
But yeah, thank you, Sam, keeping us in check in the chat. Chat always keeps us in line. But like to kind of wrap this up, like I feel like what Tommy Lloyd has accomplished or not accomplished is only going to make him a stronger basketball coach going forward. Whether we like the results in the past retroactively or not, we deal with what we got now. And we have a more experienced basketball coach as a result. And we still think, at least this podcast does, that he's probably the best coach in the country, if not top 3. Right? And so I think when we talk about National Coach of the Year race, we're talking about Tommy Lloyd and the great Arizona Wildcats, but we're also talking about these guys. Tommy's biggest comp. We got Fred Hoiberg at Nebraska. Now, Fred Hoiberg, in my opinion, should definitely be near the top of the Coach of the Year list. I mean, he finished 7-13 in Big Ten play last year, Damon. 7-13. And then they ripped off a 20-game win streak to open this season. And not only that, but they might win the conference for the first time since 1950. 1950. I don't even know what was going on in 1950, to be honest with you. Nothing in color, in my opinion. I don't know when the first color TV was, to be honest with you. But either way, I feel like this man, Fred Hoiberg, deserves a shout in the Coach of the Year race, but not above Tommy Lloyd.
Yeah, I think Nebraska ball, that's been pretty special this year. And that's a program that is a kind of a disaster historically. And anytime that you can kind of rise a program from that level into, being a contender of sorts, even though that's, maybe doing a little bit of heavy lifting, I think that's a pretty special season. That would definitely be one of the guys I would have shortlisted for being potential threats to Tommy at the top here for the National Coach of the Year.
One other threat, and this actually, in my opinion, if we're doing this like pound for pound rankings, Travis Steele might be number one, if not number two, because taking a Miami, Ohio team to undefeated record, 28-0, has yet to lose. That's really all that needs to be said on that topic, but we're going to say more. They were not even picked to win their conference this year, similar to Arizona in a way. And also, Akron was the team that got 11 out of the 13 first place votes. Miami got the other 2, and they're ranked for the first time since 99, and obviously off to the best start in program history. But it kind of gives me some Arizona vibes of not being picked to win the conference, maybe not being respected the way that you should coming into the year, and just dominating to start the year, setting a program best record, becoming ranked. And I think this is, in my opinion, right up there with what Fred Hoiberg is doing. They're both behind Tommy Lloyd, but they're battling for who's going to be second. Where are you at with Travis Steele?
To me, and maybe this is unfair, but it's the MAC. Your schedule is one of the weakest in the country.
Valid counter argument for sure.
And I think that's the MAC coach of the year. There's zero question about that. But short list, sure. I don't even think that it should be like a real huge threat. If Miami, Ohio was good enough to go on a Final Four run, which I don't think that they are, I would say then yeah, sure. Let's shortlist him. But I think that he's got to be on the back end, like kind of like token. Good job. Here's a gold star. Unbelievable work at Miami, Ohio. But to me, it's got to be like at top level stuff. Got to give me a power conference coach.
Speaking of power conference coaches, Damon, next candidate on our list is Dusty May. And now we're talking about guys that might get a shot at this simply because they kind of deserve, based on record, to get a shot. Like Michigan's one of the best teams in the country, one of the most balanced teams in the country in terms of offensive and defensive efficiency. I feel like he's going to get a shout. He does not deserve to. If we're doing odds, he deserves to be like plus 2,300, plus whatever the hell the high number should be. Right, but I think he does get on the short list, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, scares the crap out of me as a Tommy Lloyd guy because of how Michigan has been anointed all season long. It feels like they almost want to tell us that Dusty May is the national coach of the year in a way. An ideal world for the ESPNs and the national media companies here, Kevin, would be Arizona, Michigan matchup in like a Final Four or national championship, and then where they could make a social graphic, and then they could line up each position and say point guard Michigan, shooting guard Michigan, small forward Michigan, power forward Michigan, center Michigan, bench Michigan, coaching Michigan, and give every single pointer over to Michigan and say, I mean, what can you say? They're just better at every single spot. That's how I envision it, at least. But I think Dusty May is a real threat just because of how they've been talked about and in the general discussion of college basketball analysts all season long.
I agree. I don't think he even kind of deserves to get on the short list, in my opinion. But I think
I think Fred Hoiberg is more deserving than Dusty May is.
100,000%.
Yeah,
and I also think this next guy, Josh Schertz of St. Louis, the Billies, the Billikens. Shout out to them as well. Josh,
represent.
Coach Schertz going from beating teams on home court to ripping shots with students at a local bar afterwards. He is an
That's just the Lou, baby.
St. Louis legend in my book. But he's kind of like a men's basketball version of Becky Burke in a lot of ways, Damon. He turned Lincoln Memorial in Tennessee into a D2 powerhouse. And then he also did the Indiana State iconic turnaround from a couple years ago. And then he went into the portal and got guys that are shooting 40+% from three this year for him and really contributing. And it feels like if we're doing like an actual coach of the year list, right? Like what does it mean to be a coach of the year? It means to acquire talent at a high level, maximize talent at a high level, win your games, and overall build culture. And I think that Josh Schertz checks all those boxes. And I know that, it's St. Louis. It's not like a Big 12 team. It's not Big 12 competition. But I think if I'm organizing the short list with the guys we've already done, Hoiberg, Steele, May, and Schertz, I think behind Lloyd, I'll have Hoiberg, Schertz, Steele, Dusty May. How do you feel about that?
I might switch Steele and Schertz, but I just a similar type of thought process for me is like, I do think that being in a conference where it's a little bit more wide open for you, if you do put together a good roster, that does matter versus being in a conference where, even to Dusty May's credit, like he's winning the Big Ten, which is a pretty solid conference this year, as much as I like crapping on Big Ten hoops and saying that they actually stink. So yeah, I mean, I kind of, I don't know. I feel weird about taking it away from the mid-majors teams, but I also don't know if they deserve the National Coach of the Year over guys that are doing it in the big conferences.
You got to keep it real about that kind of stuff. And speaking of keeping it real, our last guy, as Alex said in the chat, was born on third base, the Duke head coach, Jon Scheyer. Now, you take over that job, and you do have incredible, immense expectations just being the Duke men's basketball coach. But I do think Jon Scheyer's done, like, not only this year, but in general, done a great job with that program, being the steward of it. I know he's kind of a whiny baby when his team gets, court stormed, and he's talking about player safety, even though it's like your fans are just as much animals as anybody else's fans when these things happen. But either way, whether you like him as a dude or not, whether you think he's a crybaby or not, he's a damn good basketball coach, a damn good recruiter. And I feel like he's maximizing this Duke team, which I know sounds crazy because they're so talented, but Cam Boozer is unbelievable. But he's not just unbelievable because he's talented. He's also unbelievable because he's being well coached. Did you see that video, Damon, that was circulating from Duke's social media account where they did like a little vlog in the halftime locker room with the Michigan game? Did you see that video?
No.
Cam Boozer, Dame Sarr, it was Isaiah Evans, Dame Sarr. They were coaching the locker room during halftime, helping out Cam Boozer, figuring out how to dominate the game. And if your players can coach each other and it be totally good, kosher advice, you're doing a hell of a job at communicating your game plan to your team, in my opinion, right? And I think that is what makes Jon Scheyer a part of this list, even above the fact that Duke is number one in KenPom and an incredible record and just beat Michigan. I think he is honestly more dangerous in this race than Dusty May, in my opinion, because he's going to have the player of the year. And the same thing you said about Michigan and these media people wanting to do Michigan. If they could line up the holy trinity of national champion Duke, coach of the year Duke, wooden player of the year Duke, their eyes are going to be as big as the moon, Damon, looking at that. So I think he's just as dangerous in this race, if not more, than Dusty May.
Yeah, I certainly think that he probably should be. That lined it up for me enough, Kevin, and I'm sitting here thinking, you're looking at the number one team in the rankings, the number one team in the KenPom. This is after last year's team, Kevin. A team that was breaking records in KenPom. A team that was, I think far and away the number one team clearly in the country last year. I know they didn't win it all, but I think it's safe to say, like, it's a single elimination 68-team tournament. The best team doesn't always win.
Yeah.
Duke was the best team in college basketball last year. And they had Cooper, Flagg, Concanipple, Malawach.
Ngongba's on this year's team.
And
Isaiah Evans is on this year's team, too.
All these guys left.
Yeah.
And then what do? They continue to keep the number one ranking. That alone is pretty special coaching, special recruiting. And part of that is you play in the ACC. And I'll be the first guy to be like, the ACC sucks. I think I tweeted it at someone yesterday, Kevin. I think if you go to my replies, I'll do this in live time. Profile, replies, scroll. And I'm pretty sure I literally told someone yesterday, because the ACC sucks.
And you talk about like maximizing talent and what he was able to do with Cooper Flagg. I think we sorry to say we talk about a lot, but we also talk about Bobby Hurley and when he has more talented teams, not necessarily knowing how to maximize his talented players. Jon Scheyer is getting Lamborghinis and running street races with him and beating everybody.
Yeah.
He understands how to drive the luxury car. And that's, I think, underrated in all of this, a very hard thing to do. We see coaches across the country. Do I need to bring this back up? I'm not saying that PJ Haggerty is on the same level as a Cam Boozer or even a Kaman Malawach, but like, it takes a certain level of coach to understand how to drive a fast car. And Cam Boozer is maybe well, that's not true because he's not a great athlete, but he's one of the more talented players in the country.
He's an expensive car.
Yes, and being able to maximize
great
that
interior,
guy.
Unbelievable features.
Yeah.
Reliable as hell.
The most reliable. Great gas mileage with Cam Boozer. Unbelievable gas mileage. But if you're able to maximize that guy, I think it says a lot about who you are at the top level of coaching. Because when you're at Duke, you're only going to get the best guys. Ain't no underdog story coming out of Duke. You know what I mean? You're always going to have a Cam Boozer. You're always going to have a Cooper Flagg. It's up to you to maintain that coaching recruiting pipeline. And it's up to you to maximize those dudes when you get them. And I feel like he's really trying to maximize this run he's having here.
Yeah. For me, I think Jon Scheyer is more deserving than a Dusty May. I just can't
100%.
help but get over this Michigan love fest that we've just been a part of all season long. I know they're dying to be like, it's Dusty May, baby.
They really are. Really are.
I think Tommy should be the favorite. Looking at that list, I go Tommy, Hoiberg, Scheyer, I think, in my top 3. And then I'll probably put May 4 just for the sake of power conferences and then steel shirts in that order.
Yeah, I will probably go Lloyd, Hoiberg, Scheyer, shirts, May, Steele. It's unfortunate what's been done to Travis Steele on my list. He started out so high, and then the reality hit me. You're right. He's coaching at Miami, Ohio. But it doesn't make it any less impressive what he's done. It's still very impressive to be 28-0.
It's very impressive what the Arizona Wildcats have accomplished this season,
Boom.
Kevin, despite having 0 all Big 12 first-team players. 26-2, number 2 team in the country. And, of course, you get revenge opportunity against Kansas on Saturday, a top 15 matchup that Kevin is going to be previewing with Corey Williams tonight on this very same channel, PHNX Sports. McHale Madness tonight, 7 p.m. Kevin Thomas, Corey Williams, no Saul Bookman as he is on a cruise, enjoying himself on vacation. So Kevin is going to hold down the fort, and they're going to start previewing Kansas versus Arizona. Then tomorrow on the podcast, 2 p.m., Kevin and Damon, we're going to be previewing Kansas-Arizona, full-scale preview show. And then, of course, Saturday, we got pregame, postgame for Arizona-Kansas. I will be in the building. I'll be down in Tucson to watch that one. Heard it's going to be lit. So, Kevin, cannot wait for that. Cannot wait for the remainder of the schedule that we have throughout the week. Follow Kevin in the meantime at KevoPost. That's KEVOPOSTS. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. And follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media except for TikTok, where we're at AZ Wildcats Pod. It's an Erica Thursday. We got Erica in the chat, but she's not here on the show. We can't wait to get Erica back on the show. Erica, text me off air because my guy Kevin potentially, maybe, we'll see, might be getting a little bit of Kevin Thomas time for his birthday on a next Thursday. So maybe we could scheme up something for an Erica Thursday with Damon and Erica and get that in the works. I know the people would absolutely love that. But in the meantime, again, follow us at PHNX_Wildcats on all social media. And we will see you on McHale Madness tonight at 7 p.m. And then, of course, tomorrow on the show at 2 p.m. Kevin, anything else before we get out of here?
Nah, man. It was a banger show. Thank you to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Sam Alberts. I wanted to give this comment a shout out, who says, no, Cam Boozer is actually just a decked out Hummer. And I actually think it's pretty good, except for the gas mileage being bad on a Hummer. But I like the direction you're going in. Yeah, for sure. I'll see you at Alchemy too, Alec, and appreciate everybody for being here. Peace out. Bear down. And go Cats. Pete Weber, we love you, buddy. Who do you think you are? I am.
We all silly like the mayor.